back on the fever where it's time once again to find out if you are on George's naughty or nice list. It's his picks coming up for this next week. And let's start it off Thursday night out at Littlefield. Amarillo visiting Lubbock High. And George, obviously the Westerners would like to get something started this week, but it's going to be tough against that defense out that the Sandies have.
It is. Well, I went from Secretary of Defense to Santa Claus, apparently.
You're playing both roles this week.
Exactly. But, yeah, it is going to be tough. Amarillo is, I think, is obviously the favorite in this district by the way they've played. Coach Mel Maxfield has done an outstanding job in his first year bringing the old wing T. They're one of the few teams that don't throw the ball, don't spread it out like everybody else does. They're going to sit in that wing T and they're going to run. They're going to run the misdirection. This might actually be a little bit better matchup for Lubbock High defensively because they just don't have the athletes to be able to cover a spread team. We've seen that the last few years, but Amarillo, I think, is just going to be too much for them. Lubbock High is still going to be searching. They've got to find some offense. And if Lubbock High can't find some offense to keep up with Amarillo, then it's going to be tough. I like the Sandies on the road, make it 36 straight years over Lubbock High.
All right, another team trying to get that offense going. Of course, play some better defense against the run. Monterey visiting Tascosa. That game as well on Thursday night. This was an interesting game a year ago because of what Tascosa was trying to do. That we weren't sure about what type of team they were. But now you see a Monterey team who's still trying to get those pieces together. They could win games, but it's going to be tough against a team like this.
It is going to be tough. I think Tascosa may be still a little bit of a mystery. They've had some good games. They've had some bad games. I think they're going to be a tougher game. This is a game right here that I think, when you look back at the end of the season, this is going to have to be a game that's going to have some major playoff implications on it. Monterey going on the road to Tascosa, if they can find some defense, whatever they've, needed to search for the last 2 weeks with the open week, if they can find some defense to go with the offense, I think they'll be okay, but I think Tascosa is just going to be too much. I like Tascosa in a squeaker, maybe about a 3-point game at home over Monterey in this one.
All right, San Angelo Central playing Coronado in our next game. Coming to Lubbock for that one. Mustangs, obviously, I don't want to say that this is a bottom-of-the-barrel game, but if you're Coronado, you're seeing this as an opportunity to maybe get a leg up on some of the other inner-city teams before you begin those rivalry games.
Absolutely. Like Monterey and Tascosa, I think this is going to be a game that's going to have some major playoff implications because I think you're probably talking about a game between 3rd and 4th and 5th place right here. This could be a game that determines whether you could be 3rd or whether you could be completely out of the playoffs by the end of the year. I think Coronado, given a couple weeks, I like the way they were playing going in, even though they got blown out at Abilene Cooper a couple weeks ago. And San Angelo Central is still kind of a mystery. They've had some good games, but they haven't been able to put it all together. If Coronado can hold on to the ball, score some points, and keep that momentum like Butch Henderson talks, then I think they can come out with the win. Being the afternoon game at Littlefield of a doubleheader, I like the Mustangs in this one.
Canyon visiting Friendship in our next one, and of course Friendship had to go on the road to Amarillo last week. Gets the game at home now. Brad Davis and that group knows their backs are against the wall. Can they pull out a win finally to maybe get back on the right foot?
Well, to do that, this all depends on if they're going to be able to stop the passing game because, they've had Hereford and Caprock the first 2 weeks. Canyon has an outstanding quarterback in Travis Cosby who can really throw the ball. He's got a couple of good receivers that he really zeroes in on those two. He has another guy that is a deep threat that can kind of slip behind you. But if Friendship can't stop the passing game, then they're going to struggle against Canyon. However, Canyon, I don't know if they're going to have the defense to be able to stop Friendship's offense, Friendship getting the running game. This may be another high-scoring game. I'm going to give Friendship one more chance this week, and I'll go with the Tigers. If they miss this one, though, they are in deep, deep trouble.
Lamesa visiting Estacado in our next one. Matadors looking to bounce back from their first loss of the season as they enter district play now. Obviously, you got to like Estacado in this game.
Absolutely. I was watching NFL Game Day the other day on NFL Network, and Warren Sapp talked about a get-right game. Well, I think this is going to be a get-right game for Estacado. I credit Lamesa. Lamesa's been playing very good football. They've been playing very good defensive football. They've won had a couple of shutouts the last couple of weeks, but I think Estacado's offense is just going to be too much. A healthy Abigity this time is going to be too much for Lamesa. I look for Estacado literally running away in this one.
All right, Littlefield hosting Roosevelt this weekend. We've learned about Cade Whitley. We've learned about Robbie Stout now. But Littlefield still has Barrio and that offense that can do a lot of things. This could be a really interesting matchup this weekend. Yeah,
they still have Barrio. They still have Zach White, their outstanding tight end, defensive end. They still have Tracy Huseman at quarterback. I think Littlefield's probably just going to be a little bit too more balanced of a team. I think this is going to be a close game as well. I like Roosevelt. I think Roosevelt will be able to score some points in this one. I just don't know if they'll be able to stop Littlefield, and I think Littlefield will be able to hang on the football with that running game and chew a lot of time off the clock. I'm looking maybe at about a 28-14 game, but I think it goes the way of the Wildcats of Littlefield.
Midland Greenwood visiting Seminole in our next one. And of course, we talked a little bit about Seminole a couple of weeks ago. They're obviously favorites that could be in this district, could win a lot of games this year. Greenwood, a good team, but struggled. Seminole may get the scales tipped in their favor because of the home field advantage.
Absolutely. You know, this is a game that in the past, 2 or 3 years really has been for the district championship. Both teams, though, I think are kind of rebuilding. You've got a Monahan's team out there in that district that I think is the best team in that district. But this very well could be for second or third place out there. You know, Seminole has had some good wins. They've had some tough losses. Same for Midland Greenwood. They've kind of been the same path. I think Seminole's offense will be a little bit too much for Midland Greenwood. I like Seminole in the way that Jacob Burst, the outstanding sophomore quarterback's running that offense. I think they'll score some points and get some yards on Greenwood. I like the Indians in this one.
Final game, New Deal visiting Sundown. And Ron Mayo, of course, you've talked to him this week. He's probably hoping that his players aren't reading into the newspaper clippings too much after beating Shallow Water, but because they're playing a Sundown team that snuck up on a couple of teams this season already. Yeah,
he even talked about it last week, against Shallow Water, that the one thing he wanted to see out of this game with Shallow Water was to stay injury-free, and I think they've done that because he knew that coming into the Sundown game and having to go on the road, that was going to be maybe for the district championship at least give the one and the two teams the front runner will have the edge in that one. So New Deal, I think came out of that game okay. I think they're going to be injury-free. I think they're going to be motivated. I think they're going to be excited to go out to Sundown and play. I like the Lions in this one.
All right, Georgia's picks for Week 6, Amarillo over Lubbock High, Tascosa over Monterey, Coronado over San Angelo Central, Friendship over Canyon, Estacado over Lamesa, Littlefield over Roosevelt, Seminole over Midland Greenwood, and New Deal over Sundown. All right, and of course, another thing going on this week for the first time in 11 years, our beloved Texas Rangers are in the playoffs, so for once, me and George can actually pay attention to baseball a little bit longer this year instead of just football. And that's going to do it for this edition of Football Fever this week. As always, we'd like to thank everyone at LASD TV for everything that they do. Be sure to check out the website for more info on upcoming games and episodes of the show. And you can follow your favorite teams each weekend on the AJ's High School website, LoneStarVarsity.com, for all the latest news and scores. For George Watson, I'm Travis Cram. We'll see you next week right here on The Fever. Go Rangers! Roosevelt, Seminole over Midland Greenwood, and New Deal over Sundown. Well, that'll do it for this week. Almost had it. Are we putting the hats on?
Yeah, I thought we were.
Okay, let's put the hats on.
Well, wait, we gotta.
What point do you want to do this?
Right before you started that. And I guess during your spiel here, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to end. Okay, so I just ended recapping your picks.
Right.
So I should just say something about and for the first time in 11 years, the Rangers are in the playoffs.
Yeah.
George and I will be distracted from it.